Eddie.
And he's going to be performing the deadlift in an unskilled way, and I'm going to show him how to do it skillfully. Right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Alright, so as we can see here, Eddie is performing the deadlift wrong. His back is rounding out and he is using solely his lower back to lift the barbell. He's not engaging his hips at all, not using them as a pivot point. And like I said before, his back is just rounding out and it's all bad. So now we see him performing it skillfully with just a few tricks to fix it. So he's using his hips now, he's engaging them as a pivot point. He's pinching his shoulder blades back and keeping his chest out in order to create that neutral spine. So the biggest difference we see here is the neutral spine and the engagement of the hips. And Eddie's performing the deadlift a lot safer now. Another thing to note is that in order to open up his hips and get him more mobility, I had him do these lateral walks with a small resistance band and also these clams, as I like to call them, for extra hip mobility work. So this will in turn help him create a safer deadlift. I simply used movement cueing in order to fix Eddie's deadlift. I explained to him to hinge his hips back and to get around a 90 to 105 degree angle with his hips in proportion to the ground. And once he's reached this position, I told him to keep his shoulder blades essentially pinched back but not excessively and his chest pushed out in order to create a flat and neutral spine, which is the most crucial part of this movement so that we don't hurt his lower back and spinal discs. Also, I noted that he keeps the barbell close to his shins and his body as he comes up, which he didn't have much of a problem with before, but it is also a crucial part of the deadlift. Alright, so hip mobility exercises are near and dear to my heart since I do have bad hips, which in turn puts pressure on my lower back. So when performing compound movements such as the deadlift and squat, I want my hips and my clients' hips to be nicely warmed up so that they can use them to their full potential and that it's not going to be detrimental to their body. So because of this, I had Eddie perform the lateral walks with the resistance band and the clams as I showed before. And I found that this really helped him pivot his hips and engage them in the deadlift rather than not use them at all. And finally, if I were to have a client who wanted to focus on improving their deadlifts and strength within their deadlifts, I would create a program centered around building the back, the core, and the leg strength. And this will all work together to really create that optimal deadlift. And also, I would stress mobility work like I just talked about too. So I think it is very important if somebody is wanting to work on deadlifts frequently that they center their training program around that since it is such a crucial movement.